All right. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. So as Wildcard weekend slowly approaches us, we've got a bunch of other games that will be played. And today we're going to move down the Heinz Field to cover this matchup between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland, I got to say this, man. I don't know what y'all did. I don't know why this happens to you guys. But for some reason, every time you want to enjoy something and every time you want to be happy, for some reason, the factor of sadness seems to creep in and just ruin everything. I mean, first time you make the playoffs in 18 years and your head coach won't even be there to coach the game, as well as a few other players and coaches. I mean, this is not even fair. To make it worse, they have not practiced all week and they are expected to take these guys on Sunday night. That's just messed up. I mean, there's nothing they could honestly do. This is just the circumstances they're dealt with, and they just got to deal with it. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh is nice and cozy in Heinz Field. Nothing really going wrong there. And their starters didn't really play in Week 17, so they got the extra rest they need. So they're definitely going to be prepared to face off against Cleveland. You know, the same team they literally almost beat with their backups in Week 17. So, keeping all that in mind, it really just looks like Cleveland has zero chance to win this game. They're going to go into Heinz Field and get blown out. It really feels like that. But you know what? No, I don't think that's going to happen to Cleveland. Cleveland has gone through so much that I feel like at this point, they're so used to it. At this point, what else is new? You get to the playoffs only to lose your head coach who just won't be able to coach because he's going to be on the list. He just can't travel to Pittsburgh. What else is new for Cleveland? You don't get to practice. I mean, it is what it is at the end of the day. It just seems like this stuff always happens to Cleveland. I'm sure Browns fans at this point look at this, they're like, man, what can we do? It just always happens to us. But you know what? Despite all that happening, Cleveland should not be looking down. Have confidence and believe in this team because you guys have faced adversity throughout the season. I mean, for God's sakes, you weren't even supposed to technically be here. Everybody already wrote you guys out of the playoffs. People were just waiting for you guys to collapse. So don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Yes, you will not have your coach there to help you against Pittsburgh. But you know what? Instead, let's have the players go out there and win this for the coach. Okay, this has been a tough year. This has definitely been a tough year. But despite that, Cleveland, you made the playoffs. Despite everything you had to deal with, despite everything that's happened this season, you made the playoffs. Go out there and shock the world. I'm sure a lot of Yinzers are going to be out there saying, yeah, Pittsburgh going to roll over them easily. Cleveland ain't got a shot against us. We're going to win this one at home, and we're going to prepare for the divisional round. I'm sure a lot of Yinzers are already thinking that right now. So don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Go out there, compete, and shock the world. With that being said, I still got to give my assessments. I can't show any level of biasness here, even though it'd be nice to see Cleveland win a playoff game. It would definitely help Baltimore because if Cleveland wins that game and Baltimore is able to beat Tennessee, then that means it'll definitely work in the favor of the Ravens, but we're not going to talk about that. So let's actually get into the game and, look at the matchup. Let's start with offense. When you go toe-to-toe with the offense, you start with the quarterback situation, Ben Roethlisberger versus Baker Mayfield. This one is definitely tough because, I want to go with Baker, but this is his first time in the playoffs. He's definitely had moments where he's had to struggle when the run game hasn't gotten off. If the run game is just not there, I've seen games where Baker's not able to do anything. If he has no run game, I've seen him struggle. And I want to pick him, but Ben Roethlisberger, I can't bet against him. I'm always the type of person that's I value experience more than talent in some cases. And especially when it comes to the playoffs. And when you look at Ben Roethlisberger, the dude's a two-time Super Bowl champion. And of course, we know he won those 2 rings over a decade ago, so that means nothing. But the last time Pittsburgh was in the playoffs was 2017. And if you go back and look at the game he had a pretty good game. Granted, he does not have those type of weapons anymore, but he still had a pretty good game. Ben Roethlisberger's postseason career is actually pretty good when you don't look at his matchup with New England. He's actually, for the most part, showed up and done what he needed to do. So I just have a little bit more confidence in Ben Roethlisberger, considering the fact he's been here before. He understands what it takes to win in the postseason, and other than the game against New England, he's played relatively well throughout his career in the postseason. So I don't see why he would actually fall off here. Well, also, that game against Baltimore back in 2014, which I love that game. He didn't play well in it. But, for the most part, he's done well in the postseason. So I'm just going to go with the more experienced vet in Ben Roethlisberger over Baker Mayfield. Though I still believe Baker is going to come out here and have a really great game. When you look at the receiving core, I'm going to give the edge to Pittsburgh there as well. Now, both these receiving cores have been inconsistent. Other than Landry for the Browns, both of these receiving cores have been inconsistent. However, I have a little bit more trust in the Pittsburgh receivers, considering the fact that all they do in Pittsburgh is throw the ball. And when you look at the receiving core for Cleveland, again, other than Landry, who can you necessarily trust? Peoples-Jones, not necessarily. Njoku, you can't really trust Njoku. You also can't really trust Austin Hooper. So it's like, not much you can really trust when it comes to receiving core. Meanwhile, you look at Pittsburgh, talent-wise, they've definitely got the better receiving core. I mean, Juju starting to do his thing. Deontay Johnson, he's up and down, but he's been nice. Claypool, obviously, his rookie year has been astounding. He's been great. And then you look at Washington as well. When he can get it going, he could be nice. And then you look at Eric Ebron. He's definitely been struggling the last couple of weeks, and he's been dropping a lot of passes. But when they're on their A game, they can actually do something. I just have a little bit more faith in the receiving core than I do with the Pittsburghs than I do with Cleveland's. Next, the running game. No question. Look at the look this side. Cleveland, you take that. First of all, Cleveland actually has a running game. Pittsburgh does not have a running game. Cleveland has a running game. It's one of the best running games in the league. They've got 2-star backs in Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Granted, I do not know if they're going to play. I don't know if any other. I believe right now, all the players right now for Cleveland, they've already figured out the specific players that are not going to be there. And I don't believe any of the guys I've named so far are missing that game. I believe all of them will play. But hopefully that'll just stay the case until Sunday night. So, yeah, they got a far better running game with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. That's their 2-star backs. That's their identity. The run game is what they lean on for the most part, and it's probably going to be what they lean on in this game. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh does not have a running game. It's been one of the biggest weaknesses, and it's why their offense is so one-dimensional, why Ben Roethlisberger has to throw the ball so much. So, clear edge in the running game goes to Cleveland. Offensive line, again, clear edge goes to Cleveland. I believe PFF ranked Cleveland's offense as the best offense in the NFL. And when you just look at the best offensive line. When you look at the offensive lines for both Pittsburgh and Cleveland, by far, Cleveland's offensive line has been better. When they're healthy, they've just been better. That's not even a demand. Now, Pittsburgh's offensive line, there's not much to gauge about it because Ben Roethlisberger gets the ball out of his hands quick. So, it's tough to really determine that. But Cleveland, they've actually done a great job with their offensive line. They've done a great job blocking, and they've done a great job protecting Baker Mayfield when they decide to utilize the play-action game. So, I'm just going to give the edge for offensive line to Cleveland. All in all, I look at the two different offenses, and I gauge it, and I think I'm going to give the edge to Cleveland because even though you can argue that you have at least a more prepared quarterback for the playoffs and they've got a better receiving core, the fact that Pittsburgh does not have a running game clearly takes away from that. You're going to need a running game in the postseason, and Cleveland has that. So Pittsburgh, I'm sorry about that offense. You're one-dimensional. I'm going to go with Cleveland's offense. Flipping over into defense, things kind of change there. Now, both of these teams' back ends, their secondaries, I don't trust them at all. Don't trust their secondaries. Pittsburgh's secondary has been questionable. Cleveland's secondary has been questionable. They've been getting burned a lot. I don't trust either of their back ends. So there's not much to gauge there. I wouldn't really try to take one from the other. They've both been troublesome. When you look at the linebacking core, you give the edge to Cleveland. And the reason I would give the edge to Cleveland when it comes to the linebacking core is specifically because all of their linebackers for Pittsburgh are just gone, injured, out for the season. They clearly, when they're healthy, the Steelers defense has one of the best linebacking units in the league. And they far surpass anything Cleveland throws out there linebacker. Unfortunately, they don't have those guys going into this game. So Cleveland, I'm going to give the slight edge to you, specifically because they don't really have much there at linebacker. It's like their guys have been pretty much out for the season. Front sevens. I'm going to give the edge right there to Pittsburgh. I know for the most part, it's going to really come down to T.J. Watt versus Myles Garrett. But as a unit, I'm going to give the edge to Pittsburgh. This front seven has been terrifying teams this season. Terrifying. Weren't they? I believe they were the leaders in sacks this year. I mean, they were terrifying. They were so terrifying. This is a front seven you don't want to deal with. And this is a front seven that is completely ready and prepared to take on a running unit like Cleveland. I'm interested to see how that matchup goes because I think that's going to be the matchup that determines this game. Cleveland's running game versus Pittsburgh's front seven. I think it's going to come down to that. Overall, I'm looking at both sides of the defense, and I'm going to give the edge to Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh has the edge defensively. Cleveland has the edge offensively. It's going to come down to the run game of Cleveland versus the front seven of Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh can find a way to slow down Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, they're most likely getting the victory because Ben Roethlisberger and that offense, they can definitely come up with points when they need to. However, if Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are able to just go wild and run all over Pittsburgh's defense, Cleveland's going to set themselves up in a great position to win. So, when it comes down to the predictions, where am I going to go with this? Unfortunately, I'm going to take Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's at home. That defense is ferocious. And I just have a little bit more faith and trust in Pittsburgh than I do with Cleveland because Pittsburgh has the experience. Pittsburgh's been here before. You still got a veteran quarterback that knows what he's doing. That defense is ferocious. And I'm just looking at Pittsburgh right now. The advantage just goes to them. It's so unfortunate Stefanski will not be here to coach this game. I feel like that would have definitely really helped them. But I think Cleveland's going to put up a great fight. They're going to put up a great fight. They're not going to sit down and just get beat like that. They're going to put up a great fight against Pittsburgh. The game's going to be close. But I'm going to give the edge to Pittsburgh. I'm going to say 24-20. I'm going to say Pittsburgh wins this game 24-20. They will advance to the divisional round, and they'll be awaiting whatever opponent they have to deal with. Unfortunately, Cleveland, I just don't see them winning this game for the most part. I think they have a great chance, and I hope they go out there and they upset the world and they win this game for Stefanski because he's not going to be there. It would be such a poetic thing for Cleveland to go into Pittsburgh despite all the stuff, all the odds against them, and all this terrible stuff happening to them with no coach. It'd be great for them to go into Pittsburgh and upset the Steelers. It's not possible. I mean, it's possible. Like I say, it's not impossible because Pittsburgh's offense has been very inconsistent the last 5 games. So, like, it could happen. It could happen. Like I said, the matchup is going to be the running game of Cleveland versus the front seven of Pittsburgh. Whoever wins that matchup is most likely going to win the game. I'm just going to give the edge to Pittsburgh. I'm excited to see what happens Sunday night. This should be a great game. With that being said, that's all I got for this matchup. Best of luck to these two AFC North teams. This is going to be a battle. I cannot wait to see this go down. With that being said, that's all I got, and I'm out of here, man. Peace. Best of luck to both teams.